translation.
Okay, so I was saying that we need to begin to transit from being just a consumer into being yes. So, you know, if you look at it well, 200 million population or more, far more, and look at the companies in which we buy shares from, every one of them has done well in the past 12 months because, you know, year ends for most of these institutions come around December. So by March, April, corporate earnings come out. And then what we have seen is quite staggering. Everybody did well. The minimum 15%, 20% returns. I'm talking of corporate earnings alone.
Absolutely.
Not to talk of capital appreciation, which is price appreciation. For some companies during the year, January to date, some of them had gained over 300%. That's why the average is around 67% in the market. Some 40%, 50%. So it's good. So what we are saying is that as you consume, as an ordinary citizen, ensure you are investing to consume.
Okay.
Or you are consuming and investing at the same time. For instance now, maybe, I don't want to mention brands, but most of the consumer goods sector, telecoms for instance, we use networks without mentioning any one of them. Look at the returns that they are giving. A particular telecoms company returned over 45%.
To investors?
Yes, to investors. So those investors, there's a difference between just being a consumer by buying data, by buying airtime. As you are buying airtime, why don't you invest into that company too as an investor?
Sorry,
because
so
as a consumer, you get nothing.
Yeah, let me quickly cut in here. Jibola, sorry about this.
Okay.
And then let's also just look at the informal sector.
Yes.
I know that you've mentioned here that the biggest player here is the banking sector.
Yes, banking sector.
But if we backtrack a little bit and take, for example, the kind of influence that we do think that the informal sector has on the Nigerian economy or on economies generally, how important really is it for those in that sector to also key in if indeed the stock market is where now you're saying as little as it is, you can't begin to invest because the mindset sometimes is it is for the big boys, it is for the big players. And so how can those, let me use the first ladies was the Yalakara, the Yoni Kulikulis, whom we also tend to see as those down there, but they are very important. So how do they begin to key in?
In fact, she was spot on. It's just that Nigeria and the way we play too much. You know, she was very spot on by using those kind of examples. But, you know, people try to quote her literally.
Absolutely.
But what she was just saying is that the informal sector, the way you have put it, that's where she was going to. So mentioning Akara and Kulikuli was just to. Now, let me tell you, the informal sector contributes about $200 billion.
To the Nigerian economy.
Yes. It's massive. Now, the real sector, which is, you know, your welder, I'm using just layman terms, your Tyler,
your
Babas, is 57% contribution to GDP. 57. And that's why I said $200 billion US dollars. Because GDP is over 300 something billion. So if you look at it, that is where growth is. If you can tap into that sector, you are there. That's the truth. So now looking at it, we consume heavily in this country. So as much as we consume, do you know that for the external reserve that you have around 51 billion US dollars, foreign exchange earnings in the last 6 months, I think about $21 billion. Capital flight, that's, you know, FX from Nigerians abroad and all of those.
Remittance.
It's about $18 billion. In the last 6 months, coming into the country for investment alone. It is because everybody understands growth. They understand what the Nigerian economy is offering. So I'm only saying to the populace, to the masses, as you are consuming, invest. For a share of MTN, you can buy as low as 200 something.
Will you pay for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your banks that you bank with all the time, every day, that you send, they make about 50 naira, 60 naira from your transactions, and you feel it's small. And the banks declare 200, 300, 400 billion in terms of profit. They will only share it with shareholders. They can't share with customers at all. They can't. So why don't, as you are consuming these services and products, why don't you invest? You can invest as much as 5,000 naira. Can you tell me an akara seller cannot invest 5,000 in shares? She can. You know, that bricklayer. Do you even know that blue-collar jobs earn more than white-collar jobs as we speak?
Yeah.
Sure.
And in the next 5 to 10 years, blue-collar job will take about 80% of job force in the economy.
Wow.
It will happen because of the influx of AI. Job losses will happen. It will. It will. It's already happening, and it will continue to happen more. Look at your role now, journalist and the like. Every Nigerian now is a journalist. Oh yes. Look at advert. You put it on Google, within 2 minutes, it has reached about 2-3 million people.
Views.
So why should an average Nigerian who is struggling come to a big station like this to say, I want to pay millions, when he can go to Google and put it there and still get coverage?
You have just done,
I'm just
done a business analysis for some people.
my apologies, but I'm just trying to tell you how things are evolving.
Absolutely.
And as they evolve further, you need to take advantage. It's everywhere. If foreign investors can come in every day, do you know that every month the Nigerian federal government sells bonds to the tune of about 1 trillion? Yes. Sometimes 700 billion, 800 billion. 80% is foreign investors.
Wow.
80%. Every month for 12 good months in this country. So if they see something good in our economy, NPR 26.5, it's good for them.
Yeah, even though a lot of people still complain that 26.5 is huge.
That's another discussion. It depends on,
it depends on where you're looking at it from.
Because,
okay.
you know, it's demand and supply. Look at it from deposit point and look at it from the loan side. That is the asymmetry corridor. You know, you understand
look at it, you
but
weigh
that's
it.
another discussion.
Okay.
for another
Okay,
time.
Seyi, I know that this government is very, very ambitious when you look at some of its reforms, and it's actually set the deadline, the targets of a $1 trillion dollar economy. With some of these reforms and then the fact
By
that
2030.
that our stocks are performing very well now, are we on that path yet for that growth and that target? And then what are those errors that we need to avoid? Just like you look at what happened to South Korea now. What are those errors that we will need to avoid so that this market will not crash at the end of the day? Then how do we further consolidate on this growth?
Okay, so $1 trillion economy 2030 is it's
achievable.
already a tall order. It's already a tall order, except we just want to miss words. But 2030 is just about 4 years to go. It's very achievable, but it's a tall order. It means that we must begin to grow almost in 100% of what we are growing now. Presently, we are growing at about 3.84%. 4%, you know, that's GDP growth. For us to achieve a 1 trillion, and what's our total size? The economy is about 380 billion US dollars. So for us to grow at that trajectory, and we are going at just 3.8%, we must be growing at about 7 to 8% for us to achieve it. And in being able to achieve that, there are some fiscal policies that needs to be put in place.
Okay.
Can we meet up with the timing? Only time can tell. We don't have a single working refinery. It's part of it. Power to the real sector is still a problem. We are still getting maybe 3 hours, 2 hours of electricity running at about 4,000 megawatts. An economy of 200 million people. South Africa at 70 million people is running at about 30,000. Yes, they have reserve of about 15,000. So are we there yet? Those are the key policies, and they are long-term, you know, planning policies. That's why I said fiscal policies. Monetary-wise, I think we are just there. We are stabilized. But fiscal-wise, so many things still need to be put in place. But those two major ones are very key. Our mainstay is oil, which is what we believe in. Presently, we are pumping at about 1.7 to 1.8 million barrels per day. We have projections to get to about 2.1 million barrels. 2.1 million barrels will give us more earnings, FX-wise. But at least we should be pumping about 2.5. Because even the OPEC quota of 2 million barrels, we have not even met it. Yes, we have not met it. And we have not met it for years as we speak. So we need to solve that problem. Insecurity is a challenge, big one. So You know, if you look at insecurity, it ties down to every sector
Everything.
of the economy.
Yeah.
It ties down to night economy, it ties down to oil production, it ties down to even telecoms, and almost everywhere. You know, most usually agriculture.
Yeah.
Agriculture contributes about 21% to GDP. Agriculture is a problem as we speak. Most of the places where our mainstay of food comes from is affected. So we need to solve those fiscal issues to be able to say we are bold enough to say in the next 4 years, which is just a stone throw away. So I don't want to say we cannot meet it, but if we can solve those challenges, $1 trillion economy is possible by 2030.
Okay.
Financial literacy is very key,
Yes,
and what we're doing here today can be seen as a form of financial literacy.
Yes.
But from what you've mentioned also, looking at the number of untapped benefits
Yes.
into the sector, especially, I will still stick with the informal sector anyway,
Yes.
and there's also a
That's
lot...
where I belong to.
there are also a lot of companies that are not listed yet or
Yes.
on the stock. So
Yes.
who should, whose responsibility really should this be at ensuring that there's better understanding of what the stock really has in stock, what a lot of Nigerians stand to benefit from the sector? And riding on Jibola's question would be, we've also known that years ago, there was also the trust level on the floor of the stock exchange, which also made a lot of Nigerians to lose
Yes.
trust in
Yes.
the market. So how
Yeah.
do we begin to ensure that that trust is sustained, especially now that there seem to be a lot of activities happening around the stock?
Okay, so that's a beautiful one, and that goes to what the Securities and Exchange Commission is doing right now. They are doing a lot of job, and I want to greet the leadership of the SEC, which is Dr. Emomotomi Agama, a seasoned professional in the capital market. You know, he has gone through all the departments, a lot of policy formulations, and that's why you can see what is happening right now is a square peg in a square hole. It didn't come from outside of the sector. He has been in that sector
He grew
for over
from
2
the sector,
decades.
right.
So he understands the market very well. And that's why immediately he came on board, you know, he got into groove. And the effect is what we are seeing positively. And so he has done a lot of advocacy. He has done a lot of programs on advocacy. He has partnered with so many institutions. Right now, he's working with Lagos State government to set up a think tank that caters on investment for the populace as well. I've forgotten what the initiative, the name of the initiative is called, but I know they are working around the clock as we speak. So for the masses, there's a lot of advocacy going on from SEC, through stockbrokers, through asset managers, through other capital market operators too, that we need to begin to sensitize the public. And that's what, you know, LTV is also doing right now, to create awareness to the public that with as low as 5,000, 10,000, you know, consistently, you can be a part of these big institutions, so big institutions that will look out there that, how do I come into this one? How do I benefit from them? And there are 2 major ways to benefit from investing in the stock market: through capital appreciation, price from low level to high level. You can benefit. You can benefit from corporate earnings as well, the share dividends, the share bonuses, and you are part of that institution. So as you are consuming from these companies, whether by goods or by services, you are also benefiting by income. And there's no way you can remain the same. You know, you can't have shares now and not be relevant in terms of financial literacy, because you want to go further. What is their book saying? What are their projections for the new year? And it makes you be a part of that institution. And you can have multiple institutions under your portfolio. And that's why, you know, asset managers like we are important to you. That's why stockbrokers like we are also important to you, to continue to advise.
Right.
You know, so that advocacy, it's a continuous process that we'll continue to do. And kudos to a TV station like this, who is also at all times trying to, you know, advocate to the populace that we must, you know, transit squarely from just being a consumer to an investor.
So stability assured.
It's assured. Yes.
Okay, so aside from what we are doing here now, what else do you think the government of the day should do? Find these reforms, they are very good on paper, but to an average Nigerian,
Yes.
they will tell you that they are yet to feel
Yes.
some of the impact of this reform. So what do you think government should do in this direction so that they can get the buy-ins of Nigerians?
Okay, so for me, to advise government and advise well, I would say that government should continue on its macroeconomic reforms. They shouldn't relent on it because it's translating positively into development for this economy. We have gotten into electioneering season. Growth will definitely slow down, but we know, from very confidential sources that, the plans and programs for government in the next 2 to 3 years is major. And you can put it down that this man has also come to say it again, which I know very well. Government must also ensure that Naira continues to stabilize. Naira is stable as we speak. Government must also continue to ensure that Naira stabilizes. That's the job more of the monetary side, which is the Central Bank of Nigeria. And we must also continue to ensure that we encourage inflow, that's FX inflow, because we have not transited fully as an economy from though government is running a lot of initiatives as we speak, to transit fully from FX-driven economy into, local content economy, whereby we generate about 40 to 50% of income locally, from our local investment. Okay. But it takes a lot of time. But as we speak now, because of FX largely that we entrust on, government should ensure that, these reforms as they go on, it will continue to bring in inflow. But largely, government must also try to curb excesses, which is very key. Those are the things, little things Nigerians look at and they complain too much. When Mama said, Akara and the like, people will also look at that and say,
look at the quality of life that you're living.
So it's very normal. It's a democracy. Everybody has the right to speak. And the beauty of government is that when they speak, government listens.
Right.
And it's not like previous administrations where they call your bluff, do whatever you want. Government listens.
Okay.
And so looking at it, we must continue to support each other for growth. And at the end of the day, I know that Nigeria will be a better place for us to say it's our own.
Before we wrap up this conversation this morning, I know that when Ajibola was going to introduce you earlier, and he did say that you were an incurable optimist. And I know that anytime you sit here, you always portray that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And so, but you've mentioned key areas this morning that government also needs to sustain. Yes. Talking about energy, talking about insecurity, monetary policies, and a couple of other issues. And so, should we say that if sustained efforts are not geared towards those areas that you've mentioned, should we then say that Nigeria being, amongst the emerging countries,
yes,
would it just be a fluke, or are we actually here to stay?
Yes, if you don't sustain it, the barometer is there. IMF is always on every economy trying to look at, it's a compass.
Right.
World Bank is there, they will give you your report card, it's always there. Bloomberg just released theirs, Standard & Poor's is there, S&P, all those indexes are there.
Right.
They will give you your scorecard. So many rating institutions, are there. They will give you your report card. So if you are not growing, you are stagnant, or you are regressing. You must pick one. So if you want to have projections to say that we want to be a $1 trillion economy, it means you have to sustain growth. I just said it clearly here. And if you calculate it, that is the simple truth. That if we are not growing in double digits in the next 2-3 years, there's no way we'll be able to meet up 1 trillion, because we know where we are, we know the benchmark, so we know what to do to achieve it. So we must continue to grow. The reforms are the most important things, and we must look at the reforms on insecurity. If we solve insecurity now, I tell you, it will put another 15 to 20% growth in GDP.
Right.
It's very clear. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about state policing. So if we achieve it fully, every state is being able to take full charge of security, apart from federal police that will look at terrorism, you know, and the likes. I tell you, if we solve it, it goes a long way. Yes, and so you must continue to evolve policies, and they must continue to show growth. And the more you grow, the more it shows in your books. Look at this South Korea we are talking about. They were the highest profiting before now. You know, they lost about 40% or more in terms of their growth, and it was because of policies as well.
Artificial intelligence talk.
Thank you. So you must, you know, balance it well. So if we are growing, it will show. Nobody needs to beat around the bush. If we are not, but if you remember, I've always said that the capital market is showing signs. You know, 2022.
That's the next one.
2022, 27 trillion. 2023, 40 trillion. 2026, 156 trillion. Where will you beat it? Where will you beat it? So put 100 million in the market.
And then you watch
3 years ago. You should be, you know, setting up a studio as well.
So there's one thing that I think we all tend to also lose sight of, and that is the fact that, like we always say, we put a lot of pressure on the federal government. How can states, the subnationals, key into this, especially when it comes to financing infrastructure? And we know that they also take a lot of loans, but then sometimes, I'll use Lagos as an example, you will list bonds, you will do a lot of things. And so how can the subnationals also key into this so they also stop relying heavily on allocations from the federal government?
Okay, so in the last maybe 5-6 years, up until 2023, 2024, I know that virtually every state is owing, and owing very deeply. And but when the current president came into being, you know, that's why we talk about policies all the time. The policies changed. Remote fuel subsidy returned about 60% to states and local government, returned it. And as we speak, tell me, is there any local government that will not pick up the smallest? I'm talking of LCDs, not full local government, that will not pick up to 500 million in a month. It's not possible. Some LCDs are as small as this compound, maybe 10 times of this compound, as small as that. And they pick up at least 500 million. Some pick up 2 billion. Some local government pick up 3 billion as we speak. Not to talk of states. There's no state that does not pick up over 100% as we speak. And so if you look at their borrowings now, it has reduced drastically. Some states have not even borrowed in 1 to 2 years at all. And if you look at the level of infrastructure that is expected in states, yes, we are not getting as much. And I can assure you that the second time of Mr. President will probe into, you know, state spending.
We hope so. We do hope so, because they're actually getting enough money now.
That's what I'm saying.
They should be pruning
it's
back.
not about the federal government. And like I said, there are still some policies that will come up. I'm not the spokesman of Mr. President, but I know
Maybe
that some policies will come up that Nigerians will, you know, say that yes, that will decentralize government very well. And Nigerians will give kudos to Mr. President. They will. They will.
Right. We will hold you to that, and we will definitely remind you. Today is 14th, I guess. 14th of July. So we will hold you to this when either that happens or it doesn't happen in years to come. We'll have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Oluseyi Odufuwa.
Thank you for having me.
MDCO Capital Plus Limited, financial advisor. Thank you for always finding time to be here and always helping us break it down as much as we can understand. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's the much we'll take on this side of the table this morning. We will take a quick break. When we return, our Debimpe will be there.
Conversation continues.